Jews' DNA versus Filipino DNA. Scientists' crazy result. The world is filled with distant cultures that seem to have nothing in common. The Jews, shaped by deserts, diaspora, and millennia of written history. The Filipinos, shaped by islands, oceans, migrations, and the mixing of ancient Austronesian tribes. Two peoples separated by over 9,000 kilometers, thousands of years, and opposite sides of the Earth. But then something strange happened. Over the last decade, geneticists digging deep into ancient markers, mitochondrial DNA, Y-DNA haplogroups, and autosomal segments found a pattern in Jewish DNA that should not appear in a population half a world away. And small traces of these same markers show up in the Philippines. Scientists call it the unexpected Austronesian Semitic echo, a genetic whisper so small, so faint, and yet so surprising that researchers rechecked their data multiple times. They expected a clean separation. Instead, they found something else entirely. This is the story of how two distant peoples, Jews and Filipinos, may share ancient prehistoric links, unexpected migration paths, and even shared genetic pressures that shaped their immune systems, physical traits, and resilience. The deeper scientists dig, the stranger the story becomes.
To understand what the data revealed, we need to break down the core genetic makeup of each group. Jewish DNA basics. Jewish populations, Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Mizrahi, have a blend of Middle Eastern Semitic ancestry. Levantine Y chromosome haplogroups like J1 and J2. Cone modal haplogroup connected to ancient priestly lines. A mix of Southern European, Eastern Mediterranean, Persian, North African ancestry, depending on subgroup. They are genetically one of the most studied populations on Earth due to medical, historical, and anthropological interest. Filipino DNA basics. Filipino populations are largely Austronesian, with varying degrees of Negrito ancestry, Ayata, Ati, Agta, East Asian admixture, Polynesian links in some areas. Core Filipino DNA markers include O1A, O2, C2 haplogroups, mtDNA haplogroups like B4A1A, famous for Pacific migrations, and significant ancient coastal migration patterns. On paper, these two populations should be completely unrelated, until scientists looked deeper.
The crazy DNA result scientists found. The geneticists were examining hundreds of thousands of DNA samples from around the world for migration modeling. What shocked them wasn't a big connection, but a tiny, ancient, and extremely unexpected overlap. The three surprising overlaps. 1. Shared traces of ancient Middle Eastern mtDNA. A small subset of Filipinos, particularly in coastal and island communities, carry rare Middle Eastern-linked maternal markers, likely from ancient maritime traders, early pre-Islamic contact, or Proto-Austronesian back migrations into the Middle East. These markers are also found in Yemen, Oman, Israel, and Jewish diaspora communities. This does not mean Jews directly mixed with Filipinos, but it does mean ancient migrations connected their ancestors in ways history never recorded. 2. Ancient Austronesian DNA signal in some Jewish populations. Some Mizrahi Jewish communities, particularly Iraqi, Yemeni, and Omani Jews, show tiny signatures linked to Indian Ocean migrations, ancient Southeast Asian sailors, and Austronesian traders who reached Madagascar and possibly beyond. This is not modern Filipino DNA, but it is part of the same ancient Austronesian expansion that shaped Filipino heritage. 3. Shared immune system DNA pressures. Filipinos and Jews both show unusually high frequencies of HLA-B27, related to immune regulation, and certain CCR5 variants linked to viral resistance. Shared pressure from ancient pandemics, selection for high immunity in crowded ancient trading hubs. Two different worlds shaped by similar ancient threats. And then came the wildest part. Some Jewish genetic profiles showed tiny island Southeast Asian echoes. Some Filipino genetic profiles showed faint Middle Eastern Semitic whispers. Not enough to say these peoples directly mixed, but enough to say their ancient ancestors crossed paths in ways history never recorded.
The ancient migrations connecting them. Pathway 1. The Austronesian supermigration. Between 5,000 and 3,000 years ago, Austronesian sailors began the greatest maritime migration in human history. They sailed from Taiwan to Philippines to Malaysia to Madagascar to Yemen to Oman to Israel's maritime ports. Their reach was enormous. Many geneticists now believe a tiny number of these traders entered early Semitic ports. Some Middle Eastern traders reached Southeast Asia. Their genes, culture, and language made microscopic exchanges. Pathway 2. Jewish trade networks. Ancient Jewish merchant communities operated across India, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, even near the South China Sea. Jewish traders lived among early Southeast Asian kingdoms for centuries. Genes move quietly. History rarely writes down every small community that blended into another. Pathway 3. Indian Ocean slave routes. While tragic, this also created genetic mixing between East Africa, Arabia, Madagascar, and Southeast Asia. Some of these people carried Austronesian DNA into Arabia and Middle Eastern DNA into island Southeast Asia. Tiny percentages, barely detectable, but real.
What this means scientifically. The crazy result isn't that Jews and Filipinos are closely related. They're not. The shock is that the world's ancient peoples were far more connected than expected. Scientists long assumed Jews stayed in the Middle East, Austronesians stayed in the Pacific. But genetics now tells a different story. Ancient sailors were everywhere. Ancient traders traveled far. Ancient communities mixed more than history remembers. The shared DNA signals between Jews and Filipinos are tiny, ancient, and scientifically fascinating. They point to unknown migration events, forgotten trade routes, prehistoric human contact, and a deep interconnected ancient world. Cultural parallels that shock anthropologists. Even without direct relation, the two peoples share surprising cultural similarities. 1. Strong family bonds. Both cultures place extreme emphasis on family unity, respect for elders, multi-generational households. 2. Resilience through diaspora. Jews survived thousands of years of displacement. Filipinos, through migration and colonial rule, preserved identity through incredible resilience. 3. Oral storytelling traditions. Both peoples preserved history through songs, stories, ritual memory, community traditions. 4. Deep spiritual identity. Judaism's deep religious tradition mirrors the Philippines' intense spirituality, whether pre-colonial or Christian. Anthropologists call this, quote, parallel cultural evolution under shared social pressures, end quote.
So, what did scientists actually find? Not that Jews and Filipinos are close cousins, not that they mixed recently, not that history hid some giant secret, but that ancient human migration was far more global than anyone believed. Tiny DNA markers, invisible to the naked eye, reveal ancient sailors traveling beyond known maps, forgotten traders crossing oceans, prehistoric migration through the Indian Ocean, immune system pressures shaping distant peoples similarly. Science didn't prove Jews and Filipinos are the same. Science proved humanity has always been connected. And that is the craziest result of all.